Let's take this question, and the question is on satire. And the question says, using the general prologue and the pardoner's prologue and tale, show that Chaucer does not only satirize the institutions, but he also satirizes the individuals. Here, students are expected to identify the various institutions like the church, the institution of marriage, the institution of knighthood, etc., etc. In the general prologue, Chaucer satirizes the church, which had derailed from its original aims of the salvation of souls, the preaching of the word, and it had become very materialistic. The institution of the sales of pardon were not actually meant for the salvation or for penance, but for the church to raise money. That explains the reason why people like the friar would not care about the sincerity of the person, the sinner, but he is interested in the money given after confession. The church was also full of hypocrisy. That explains the reason why those who worked for the church, both from the clerical and secular worlds, are all very hypocritical. The church had a lot of shortcomings because it was also very corrupt. We can see that the church or church officials receive money from Christians in order to render services. The friar takes money when he settles disputes, receives money after confession. The wife of Bath had been married in the church 5 times, whereas the church preaches against divorce. And the reason is simple. She has a lot of wealth, and she might have used the influence of her wealth to convince the priest to continue to bless her marriages. The summoner tells young men to go ahead and sin and give him money. After all, the archdeacon is also involved in such sins. The institution of marriage is also satirized. As many of the pilgrims in the general prologue are very promiscuous. The wife of Bath has been married 5 times, not counting the number of love relationship that she has had in her youth. At the same point, we can also satirize the institution of marriage in the merchant's tale. As the merchant begins with his tale, that marriage is not as pleasant as people think. He has just been married for a few months, but he makes the reader and those listening to him to understand that if he had the opportunity to back out of his marriage, he may not be married again because his wife is fiendish. He gives us the impression that marriage is like a trap, a place of misery for men, and draws the underline that no matter what happens, women are very unfaithful in their marriages. And the whole story is meant to prove this point. No matter the wealth that January gives to me, the social position that he gives to her through her marriage, she is still ready to cheat with him, with someone who does not even have a penny to his name or a shirt in his cupboard. At the level of individuals, in the general prologue, Chaucer satirizes the proudess, who is very worldly. She behaves in a courteous manner at table, which according to Chosa is practice but not natural. She is supposed to help or do charity to human beings who are in need, yet she prefers to keep pets to whom she feeds with expensive food. Fine white bread, roasted meat, and milk. Her sympathy goes to animals. She would cry if a rat were caught in a trap, or if a dog was startled with a stick. We come to realize that she is satirized by Chosa for her worldliness, whereas she's supposed to live a life of chastity and seclusion. We are also made to understand that she is aware, conscious of the fact that she has a beautiful face, which she has put up some makeup in her red, soft lips. And worst of all, she defies the law of being poor. She has attendants, 3 nuns and a priest. She has a golden chain. She swears by Saint Lloyd. And at the end of it all, the inscription on her chain is not Jesus is Lord or King of Kings. The Lord is a King of Kings. It is love conquers all. And we begin to ask questions of what love is she talking about? Therefore, the satire on the proudest falls on her worldliness, her courtly behavior, misguided charity, which can be described as hypocrisy, and materialism. The wife of Bath is another case in question. She dresses very extravagantly, seductively, tight-fitting dresses, knowing quite well that she has large hips, with the intention that her body features can be admired by all. She uses the church as a catwalk to expose her beautiful body features, and declines if another woman goes to the offertory table before she does. We are told that she is bold in the presence of men and speaks freely about love matters. Worst of all, she has been married 5 times in church, and she has had a long list of lovers in her youth. She is a widely traveled woman. She has been to the Holy Land in Jerusalem. She has been in Germany. She has crossed many rivers. Chosa's satire on this woman is her hypocrisy, as she uses the church as a place to expose herself. It is also about her promiscuity for changing men like changing dresses. It is also about her extravagance, because we are told that her scarf on Sundays alone could weigh 10 pounds. And lastly, Chosa's satire on the wife of Bath is about her pleasurable life. The next character in question is the merchant. Well-dressed, polished boots, speaks so highly about himself and how successful he is in business. He prefers that the route through which he trades should be guided against pirate. All this pride, Chosa comes to let the reader to understand that he later on finds out that the merchant is heavily in debt, which cancels all the bragging that he's a successful businessman. Chosa's satire on the merchant falls on his pride, vanity, and hypocrisy. We also have the miller, who is very violent, immoral in language, cheats the people, the poor farmers whose corns he grind, by charging them 3 times the normal price for grinding corn. And above all, he can detect the quality of the corn just by his hand, and he steals corn from them. And Chosa's acts of satire falls on him for his violent nature, for his dishonesty, and immoral behavior. In the merchant's tale, although January had lived a wayward life, he redeems himself by deciding to get married and have sex in a legal and religious circle. May, on the other hand, might have gotten married to January because of his money and property, seeing their age difference. Because no matter the love that is shown to her by January and the possessions that he gives her in order to give her societal status, she is still ready to cheat on him with his servant. She decides to print a false key to the lock on the garden of love. She sneaks him into the garden, lets him climb the tree. She goes up there to meet him with the intention to have him there. After making a fool of January, that she wants to pluck some fruits. Chosa's satire on Maeve is about her infidelity and hypocrisy. Lastly, Damian, though a loyal, serviceable servant, these good qualities are taken away when he feigns to be sick because of the love that he has for his master's wife. He lusts after her. He declares love to her through letters. They flirt with one another under his master's room in January's blindness. They make plans of having one another. He sneaks into the garden in the presence of his master, and he is ready to have his wife on the tree. Chosa's satire on Damian is on his lustful nature, ingratitude, and hypocrisy. Thank you for watching and listening to this video. Share it to many students and your friends all over the country. Thank you very much. Click on the subscribe button on this channel and leave us a comment to tell us what you think about what we are doing. Bye-bye.